Just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Hare Krishna devotees, we are back. Sorry for the delay again. Let's start with Bhagavad Gita verse. Today we are reading from chapter 15, verse number 19. Okay. Can everybody see the screen verses?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yomam evam asammudho
Yoma evam asammudho
janati purushottamam
janati purushottamam
sarvavid bhajati mam
sa sarvavid bhajati mam
sarvabhavena bharata.
sarvabhavena bharata.
Who would like to recite today?
Yomam evam asammudho
Yomam
evam asammudho
janati purushottamam
janati purushottamam
sa sarvavid bhajati mam
sa sarvavid bhajati mam
sarvabhavena bharata.
sarvabhavena bharata.
You can go ahead with the translation. Maybe 3 of you can read each paragraph. That will be helpful.
Yeah.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation: Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is a knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Purport: There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the supreme absolute truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth, but the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step. And still there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the supreme absolute truth and the living entities to be one and the same.
Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here Krishna distinguished everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hawks is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this according to the Supreme Personality of our Godhead Sri Krishna knows the purpose of the Vedas, and no one else knows the purpose of the Vedas.
The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. You want to read?
Yeah. What I say?
He has already come to the point, and because he is engaged to the devotional service of the Lord, he was ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, and after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point of Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and that one has to surrender their all his speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, all of you. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Now, it's a beautiful verse. Krishna is very clearly speaking, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without a doubt. So first thing, one should know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and that has to be without a doubt. And that person is knower of everything. And then what does he do? He engages in bhakti. He engages in devotional service, right? We spoke about this few times. What is devotional service? We understand what is devotional service. The word service means you serve someone. So there are three things. There is a servitor, and there is a master, and there is service. So first there is a boss and the servant, and then there is service. So who is the boss here? Who is the real beneficiary of all the services? Krishna, the Supreme Person. Anyone who knows that Krishna is our Supreme Master and we are his Supreme Servant is a knower of everything. Whether he has read, not read, does not matter. If we know this fact, that means we know everything. Once, when Srila Prabhupada was having conversation with some of the scientists, top scientists, at that time, they were going back and forth, about God. And some of them were Indians too, and they were discussing that, how can we say that directly God is Krishna, like that, but it is so much in the Vedas, it is given like that, like this. They were kept on and on and on, and they didn't come to a conclusion. They just even kind of, making controversial statements even among themselves. At that time, there was this little girl, Saraswati, who is the daughter of Malati Prabhu. And she was walking by and Prabhupada called, Saraswati, come here. She was hardly 3.5 years old. And as soon as she came, Prabhupada asked, who is God? Then immediately she said, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada literally blessed her and gave her some sweets and sent her away. And he said, look at this. This girl does not have any doubt. As soon as she asks who is God, she immediately says, that's all you need. We don't have to break our head. Why? Krishna clearly says, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta krit videva chaham. Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. He says that very clearly. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. Just imagine if somebody reads Veda for 15 years and still did not understand the point that Krishna is the Supreme. The last line says, it is totally useless waste of time. That's all. Because everything, every scripture in the world has to come to the, get to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme. There is no doubt on that. All the great acharyas agree on this point that Krishna is the Supreme. The creator, first creator is Krishna. But for this particular universe, almost for all the universes, there is a Brahma who is the secondary creator. That means Krishna gives the sanction and empowerment, and this Brahma creates this manifestation, living entity. The universe is created by Vishnu, but the living entities in the universe, the manifestations which we see, are created by Brahmaji. So that's what the universe is primary creation, which is created by Vishnu. From Mahavishnu, all these planets comes. And the living entities are by the Brahmaji. But Brahmaji doesn't create the soul. He actually arranges, the soul is already there. The soul is already there. All the living entity souls are already there. And Brahmaji arranges that. He makes sure that everything is come together in this particular universe. Does that make sense so far what we are saying? So again, who is the original creator? It is Krishna. So Brahmaji, that's the reason he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigrahanadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Brahmaji, he clearly says, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the Param Ishvara. He is the Param. Ishvara means supreme controller. And then he comes on to say, Sachit Ananda Vigraha. His body is full of bliss, full of knowledge and eternal. That's the important point. It is his transcendental body is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And then he goes on to say, Anadir Ahadir Govinda. That Krishna does not have any beginning and he does not have any end. That Govinda, who is loved by all the great devotees and the cows, is the Sarva Karana Karanam, is the cause of all causes. very clearly. It's a very clear definition for God. That is how Brahmaji makes it very clearly. So let's try to understand what Prabhupada says in this beautiful purport here. So here in this purport, okay, let me share the screen so we can see. Yes, you can see here, who is the knower of everything? That is the first question, comes on this purport. The person who knows Krishna as the Supreme Person knows everything. And what is the result of that? That person will engage in devotional service to Krishna. That's all. It's very simple to understand. So in this verse, furthermore, there are few things which we need to get at once. Okay, let me try to. Okay. Oh, that goes all the way. Okay. We'll go to 19. That is the verse we are discussing. Okay. Can everybody see the screen? Oh. Okay. Okay, there we go. So this is what Prabhupada brings on this wonderful purport here. There are many, many philosophical discussions, and each one says God is this, God is that. So this is the topic where everybody can have answer. For example, if I call someone, and say, can you explain quantum mechanics in simple terms? Many of us may not know. Or if I ask, what is the theorem of Archimedes or something like that, only those who are studying will know, or those who have studied, if they remember, they can say. But if you ask about God, anyone can say anything about it. That is a very easy thing for. But if we don't know the correct answer, correct understanding, that means everything will take a different turn. That's the problem. For example, in mathematics or algebra, when you solve a sum, sometimes there's a formula is used, right? You go with that and there are steps given. Okay, just imagine there are 20 steps to solve a problem. And if you make a mistake in the third step, whatever you do perfectly after that will not give you the right answer. Is that correct? Right? You cannot say that, hey, the 17 steps, what I did is correct. But what in the beginning, the base one, the second step or third step, it was wrong. So because of that, everything is wrong. That is what will happen. If we don't understand this very important aspect that Krishna is the Supreme Personality and we are his servants, then everything else will be in a difficult situation if we don't know this fact. But if we know Krishna is the Supreme and we are his servants, that person, what he will do, he will engage in Bhakti. Then we might question, what exactly you mean Bhakti? What do I need to do in Bhakti? Prahlad Maharaj says, when Hiranyakashipu, his demon father, he was asking, hey Prahlad, what did you learn in school? That's how he started. But Prahlad Maharaj started expanding that particular thing. This is what I like in the school very much. Then he went on to explain about Bhakti. He said you can worship Krishna in 9 ways. What are the 9 ways? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. There are 9 ways. First one is hearing, then glorifying Krishna, Kirtanam, Shravanam, then Kirtanam, speaking about Krishna, and then Vishnu Smaranam, remembering Vishnu or Krishna. Vishnu and Krishna, there is no difference. They are the same. And then Padasevanam, actually serving the Lord's divine lotus feet. And then Archanam, worshipping the Lord. Vandanam, saying the prayers. Sakyam, serving Krishna in friendship. And then Atma Nivedanam. Atma Nivedanam is complete self-surrender. So these are the 9 process one can do bhakti. Anyone, we can do bhakti in any of this way, any of this process, and one can perfect life. And the prime most is hearing. When we hear, then we understand. That's why hearing Bhagavad Gita is given utmost importance right from young age. And coming back to the purport again. So a perfect knower knows this, Krishna is a Supreme Lord. An imperfect knower, a person who does not know, he will go on speculating. And what happens? He doesn't surrender and he will simply waste his life. So we need to be very careful not to do that. So let's try to understand with some, stories. Many of us might have heard the stories about Beeruval. Beeruval, he was a devotee of Krishna. Akbar, we know, Akbar was a Mughal king, But he likes Birbal very much, and Akbar also had respect towards Hinduism. That's what it is given in some of the historical statements. Okay, let's leave that aside. Coming to the point of Birbal always brings some nice understanding, try to give nice understanding to Akbar. One particular time, he was trying to bring the point that mind is like a restless child. And restless child in the sense, sometimes children are restless and they become, very cranky for some reason. It's very difficult to control at times. So one particular day, Akbar remembered the statement, but he didn't like it. He said, no, not really. You cannot compare mind with a restless child. Like that, he refuted. But Birbal said, it's okay. If you agree, it's fine. If you don't agree, it's not a problem. It's a matter of time, you may understand. One day when Birbal was slightly late to the court, so Akbar was getting a little impatient. Just saying, why Birbal is late? You should have been here by now. It's already late now. It's already 10. You should have been here by 9:30. So he sent a guard, go find what happened in Birbal's house. So he went to Birbal's house and knocked at the door. And he said, Birbal, Akbar wants you. Why are you late? Then Birbal said, I'll come and explain the reason to king. So he came and Akbar asked, Birbal, you're supposed to be here by 9:30. Why are you so late? He said, because, I was trying to explain my child. It was very difficult. The child was restless and cranky. So I couldn't handle it. At that time, Akbar said, really? Controlling a child is that difficult? I don't think so. Don't make it as a big thing. It's not really. It's quite easy to control a child, quite easy to, make the child understand. Birbal said, no, my king, it's not easy. Only when you try, that's the time you understand. It's not all the children are the same and it is not that easy always. Then Akbar made a statement. Hey, Birbal, you can bring any child and I can make the child easily controlled. And Beeruval said immediately, okay, let's make a deal, Akbar. He said, oh king, I will try to act like a child because I don't want to bring a child and make him scared of you, because by looking at you, the child will be scared. So I don't want to bring inconvenience to a child. But let me act like a child and tell you what exactly I mean. But said, okay, so be it. Start. Then immediately Beeruval fell on the ground and started crying. Oh, like that, he started crying like a child. Then Akbar came forward and said, oh child, don't worry, everything is all right. What do you want? Do you want a toy? He said, come on, gods, get some toys. Then they brought some expensive toys and gave it to Beeruval, who was crying like a child. When Beeruval took the toy and threw it, like that, Akbar was giving, you want this toy, that toy. He was crying, no, I don't want anything. Then immediately Akbar, he took it as a challenge. So he lifted Beeruval, who was acting like a child and trying to pacify. Oh, don't cry, don't cry. But still he was crying. Oh, he raised his voice and started crying. Then what do you want? Tell me. Then the child said, I want sugarcane. Beeruval in the form of a child, he said, I want sugarcane. Then he called the guards and said, oh, go get sugarcane. So they went and got the big sugarcane. And then he said, cut them into pieces. So Akbar said, so be it, cut them into pieces. Then they brought the sugarcane pieces and Akbar brought it in front of Beeruval, who was acting like a child, and said, eat it now. This is what he wanted, right? But again, it said, no, I don't want to eat this. Now make again a big sugarcane. Put these pieces together and I want a long sugarcane. Akbar got so annoyed. How can we make that? It's not possible, because once cut, it is cut. New one, I want the same one. Make the small pieces into a long one. Akbar got. Can everyone hear me? Because in the internet it says unstable. Can everybody hear me? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So at that time, he said, how can I make the same one? Maybe I can get you a new one, but it's not possible to, put together all the broken pieces. But he said, no, I want the same sugarcane, but a long one. Why did you cut into pieces? You said, child, you said. Who asked us to cut? No, I didn't say that. Then again, the child started throwing tantrums and crying. Then Akbar got so annoyed. Then he was about to beat the child. He said, you being so arrogant, don't you know how to behave, this, that? He started screaming at. Then immediately Beeruval said, Akbar, O king, you promised that you will not punish the child. But why are you getting angry? Then he understood. Okay, I got it. I withdraw that statement. Okay, yes. Then coming back to the point, he said, yes, mind is a restless child. Sometimes the mind wants this. The same mind will come back and say, no, I don't want this. I want something else. Sometimes the same mind will act as a judge and also a criminal. How? Because when somebody does a mistake, the mind will say, don't worry, it is okay to do it. Come on, do it. He'll become a partner in the crime. Okay. So the same mind, after some time, when that same person is caught by police, that time it will come back and say, you fool, why did you do this? You shouldn't have done that. Don't you know that it is a big crime? You will be caught by doing that. Initially, the mind was criminal. Now the same mind became a judge and punishing. Why are we saying this? Because mind is the biggest culprit in all these issues. That's why Krishna says, the same mind can be a friend or an enemy. How do we make it as a friend? If we engage our mind and all the other five senses. Mind is considered as the sixth sense. Many of us know. We have five senses and the sixth sense is the mind. If we engage all the five senses and the mind in Krishna's service, then mind is our best friend. If we don't, that mind will become the biggest enemy. This has been said by many acharyas in different ways. This is one of the things for us to understand. That means we have to engage our senses and the mind in service of Krishna. That person who knows Krishna as the supreme and engages in bhakti, that person knows everything. We know this famous pastime, right? We have told this many times, but this is very amazing, which I love to share again. Once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was touring South India, excuse me, when he was touring South India, he came to a place called Srirangam. Some of you may have heard about Srirangam. Srirangam is considered one of the most holy places, and it is situated in central part of Tamil Nadu. It is near a city called Trichy. It is also called as Tiruchirappalli. That is the city, and Srirangam is very close there. And the Srirangam temple is huge. It's one of the amazing temples in all over the world, we can say. And this temple, whole city is around the temple. So this temple is in the center. The whole city will be around the temple. And in this place, and this is also considered one of the prime most holy places for the Ramanuja Sampradaya, Sri Vaishnavas. So when Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha and Krishna, Mahaprabhu is the combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. When he visited South India to this particular place, Srirangam, he would come to the temple every day to take darshan of Lord Ranganath. Lord Ranganath is on the Shayana darshan. He is always lying down on Adishesha, an amazingly beautiful Lord. So when he would go to take darshan in the temple, he would see in one particular, there are huge mandapas, huge, we can say like hallways where there are amazingly beautiful, nicely carved pillars. In one of the place, one particular Brahmana, one particular devotee, he would sit every day in the same place and he would have Bhagavad Gita and try to read it. And so many people who are passing by, they would make fun of this devotee. They would literally laugh at him, the way he is trying to say a few words, the way he is trying to utter the verses of Bhagavad Gita. They would just make fun of him, make jokes about him, and they would walk by. This did not happen for a day. It happened almost every single day. And Mahaprabhu, one day he saw this particular devotee, he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita and he was crying actually. So Mahaprabhu thought maybe he's, I should go and talk to him. And Mahaprabhu approached him and said, "Oh, great Brahmana, you appear to be a very nice devotee. Please tell me, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm actually reading Bhagavad Gita. And I heard a lot of people are mocking at you. Why are they mocking at you?" "Oh, because I'm an illiterate person. I don't know how to read properly. So that's why they know that I can't read properly and they mock at my pronunciation the way I do it." "Oh, I see." Then Mahaprabhu said, "But I understand there must be a reason for you to, keep reading every day." And he said, yes, because my spiritual master, my guru told me that I must read Bhagavad Gita every day. So that's why I'm trying to take my guru's instruction as my life and soul, and I'm trying to read every day. Then Mahaprabhu asked, that's all right. That's really wonderful. But why are you crying? He said, when I think about the Supreme Lord, Krishna, became a charioteer to his own devotee Arjuna, that actually gives me so much emotion. He is not just, when we try to understand this aspect, Krishna is not like a mayor of a city. He's not like the premier of a province. He's not like the prime minister of a country, not just the, king of the entire planet, not just the king of the entire universe. He is actually the controller of the entire creation. Even scientists, everyone knows that in this particular universe alone, there are innumerable planets. They cannot really count how many exactly. Like that, even more than that, they cannot even think about how many universes are there like this. In one universe, there are so many planets. In like that, there are unlimited number of universes. And that is just this material world. Like that, there is a spiritual world. It is said by the acharyas, this material universe, it is one small portion of this huge creation. If you see, if you take like a, maybe a rectangular paper or something like that, if you think like this, if you take this paper, this rectangle, this is 100%. In that one particular corner, or you can say one particular corner here is material universe, rest is all spiritual universe. So we can say that more than 75%, it is all spiritual worlds, spiritual planets. And we are in this one small section. In that, there are unlimited number of universes. In each universe, there are so many planets. So this Krishna is the controller of the entire creation, and he becomes a chauffeur. He becomes a chariot driver for his own devotee Arjuna, not only for 1 hour or 2 hours or a day, for 18 full days. And not only that, that same Krishna, during the time of Kurukshetra, when the war was happening, when Arjuna and also the horses became tired. When the horses became tired, Arjuna also cannot fight because he has to go on the chariot. So the horses need some rest in between. So what would Krishna do? He would create a wall with a bow, with an arrows, basically. He would ask Arjuna to do that. And Krishna also would do that sometimes. And he would create a wall made of arrows so that nothing can penetrate through that. And then Krishna would make, these horses. He would release the horses. He will feed the horses nice fresh grass. And also he will immediately shoot an arrow and get a spring. From that, he will make the horses drink water also. So all these things, which are like considered like services to horses, right? It is simple service. You have to feed the horse, you have to make the horse drink, and then sometimes he would also massage the legs. He would take care of Arjuna like a nurse. All these things are done by who? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when he was saying this, Brahmana devotee who was saying this, when I think about this, my heart is filled with emotion. That Supreme Person who is ready to do anything for his devotee, I can't control my tears. That time Mahaprabhu said, you know everything. You know the essence of all the Vedas. You know the essence of spirituality because you understood the most essential truth. So Mahaprabhu embraced that devotee. Since Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna, that devotee immediately got the love of Godhead and he started chanting and dancing in ecstasy. So from this pastime, we can clearly understand this happened around 500 years ago, not very long, 500 years ago. So it happened in Srirangam, and this particular pastime is glorified practically, all over the world. Devotees know this particular pastime. How this devotee was glorified by Mahaprabhu because he had full faith in the words of his guru and he knew Krishna is the Supreme Person. Again, coming back to the verse today, Krishna very clearly says, Yomam. In that, he uses the word asammudo. If you see that verse, it's beautiful here. The translation, let me bring out the translation. If you see, Yomam evam asammudo. Asammuda, it means without a doubt. And Purusha Uttamam. Purushottamam means Supreme Person. And Janati is knows. So we need to be very clear. We should be free from doubt and also know Krishna is the Supreme. that person is called Sarvavit. Sarvavit means knower of everything. So if anyone wants to be full, Sarvavit, completely the knower of everything, that person has to know Krishna as a supreme person. We talked about it in the early classes, if you remember. We said 2 definitions for God, right? Does anyone know what are those 2 definitions? Can anyone remember?
Yeah.
The spec.
Yes, spec. Exactly. That's the first definition. What is S stands for?
Who is supreme?
Okay, go ahead. Supreme what?
Proprietor.
Supreme proprietor is P, right?
Yeah. Supreme proprietor, supreme enjoyer, supreme controller, but I'm missing the S, the beginning.
S stands for source of everything.
Oh.
The ultimate source of everything. So if anyone who fits this definition, that person is God. First, supreme first start with source of everything. That means he should not have a source. If the source has another source, that source becomes the real God. So Krishna does not have any source. He is the ultimate source of everything. He is Sarva Karana Karanam, like Brahmaji said. And then P stands for supreme proprietor, that he owns everything. And then third one, supreme enjoyer. And then C stands for supreme controller. One of the scholar from Germany, he visited India. So he wanted to learn about Indian spirituality. So he went around many places. He was seeing pictures of different gods. He went to many temples. He also visited some mosques. He visited some monasteries. He visited some churches, and he was going around everywhere. And he came finally to Vrindavan. And Vrindavan, he was walking around. Everybody seemed very happy, singing and walking around. And in one particular store, he saw a big picture of Krishna. And Krishna was playing flutes, and there are Krishna's friend playing around. And then he asked, who is he? Then the store man said, he is our man. What do you mean our man? He is God, and he is Krishna. Then he asked more about Krishna. The more and more he knew, he became very happy. And he wrote in his diary, he said, Krishna must be the supreme God. Why? Because he always seems to enjoy. He always have fun. So that alone is a clear indication that he must be God. Why? First of all, imagine if God also has an office job like 9 to 4, or he also has to pay bills. Then what kind of a God is he? And if he also gets sick and he also goes to hospital and getting treatment, and he also gets old like us, then what is the difference? So Krishna is a supreme enjoyer, and what he does all the time is only having fun. And Krishna's pastimes are unlimitedly and amazingly sweet. His pastimes are unlimited, and every pastimes of Krishna is amazingly sweet. And let me try to bring this point together. Now, this particular definition which we said, spec, S-P-E-C, if anyone who can fit this definition, it's only Krishna, because no one else can claim this. No one else can claim he is a supreme controller. He is a supreme enjoyer. Only Krishna can claim. And who says this? Lord Shiva says this. Lord Brahmaji confirms this. All the great Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Narada Muni, and all the great acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Shankaracharya, Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone confirms this statement. And then there is a second statement, second definition for God, if you remember in our early classes. Does anyone remember?
Bhagwan by Parashar Muni.
Yes, one by Parashar Muni. Yes. What are the 6 things? 6 Aishwaryas? Knowledge.
Beauty.
Fame. Wealth.
Strength.
And
renunciation.
Thank you. That's all. Anyone who has all these 6 things, these 6 are called as Aishwaryas. These 6, anyone who possesses all these 6 things in complete, that person is called Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, Aishwaryas, and Van is a person who has this. That person is called Bhagavan. And who can fit this definition? Only Krishna can fit this definition. Can anyone give me an example for Krishna's strength? Anyone? Give me one example where
Govardhan Hill.
yes, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill at what age?
7.
7, right? And how did he carry? Did he carry like Atlas with all his muscles bulging out, nerves bulging out?
On
No.
his pinky.
Yes, he lifted on his pinky. Which hand?
The left hand.
The left hand pinky. In fact, for those who are right-handed, left hand is slightly weaker than the right hand. And on top of it, the weakest form of body part is considered, this is pinky in terms of fingers actually. Of all the 5 fingers, pinky is the weakest. So Krishna lifted Govardhan on his left pinky for how long? 7 days and 7 nights. 7 days and 7 nights he carried that. Like that, you can go on giving innumerable examples depicting Krishna's strength. And Krishna's beauty is amazingly beautiful. Even the person who is known as Cupid, Kamadev, he gets bewildered by seeing Krishna. That's why Krishna's another name is Madana Mohan. Madan is Cupid, and he gets bewildered. And in fact, he faints down by seeing Krishna's beauty. And that's why Krishna's name is Madana Mohan. So he is the ultimately beautiful personality. And then knowledge. Who can compete with Krishna's knowledge? Who can even come close to Krishna's knowledge? That Krishna from whom all the Vedas come, all the Upanishads come, all the spiritual literatures, every holy book comes from the Supreme Lord. And he has the ultimate knowledge. And then wealth. When we talk about wealth, even in this world, we told this many times. The person who is the richest, number 1 richest, will not have the wealth of number 2 richest. For example, if you just take this, keep changing. If Elon Musk is the richest, maybe this time, and the second richest may be Jeff Bezos of Amazon, right? Just think like that. Elon Musk has Tesla, and this Jeff Bezos has Amazon. So Elon Musk does not have Amazon, and Jeff Bezos does not have Tesla. So their wealth is limited. They may be number 1 in this world, but they don't have all the wealth. They have only some amount of wealth. But whereas the Supreme Lord Krishna has all the wealth in the entire creation. And in fact, who is the goddess of fortune? What is the name of goddess of fortune?
Lakshmi Devi.
Lakshmi Devi. The Lakshmi Devi is servant of Krishna. In fact, in spiritual world, there are no service needed actually, because everything is so clean, everything is so taken care, and there are desire trees, kalpatarus, where whatever we desire, the trees can produce. So we don't need to do any work. In Vaikuntha, there are no, like dirt in the sense, there is sand is there, but it is not dirty. There is a difference between clean and dirtiness, right? Dirty, it is never unclean. That's the word we can use. Dirt is there, but it is not dirty. Okay. And it is always clean. In spiritual world, like our house, just imagine if we don't clean it for a week, it'll become so dirty, right? We need to clean it up. But in spiritual world, it is never required. It's always speck and clean. But Lakshmi Devi would want to do some service. She would go personally to take a broom to clean the palace of Krishna. And she would come to Krishna. Krishna never get tired like us, where we want our leg massage. Many times we would ask, right? Sometimes our children, can you just, massage my leg? Or we would do for our parents. Why? We get tired. Our legs need some massage. But whereas Krishna never get tired, he never gets sick. But Lakshmi Devi wants to do some service. She will go and say, Krishna, I want to massage your lotus feet. So she would massage Krishna's lotus feet out of love and devotion. And who is this Lakshmi? In this world, everybody wants Lakshmi. And they would do exclusive Lakshmi Puja so that they can get Lakshmi, because she is the goddess of fortune, who is the bestower of all the wealth. And that person who owns all the wealth is always serving Krishna. So who is the real master here? Krishna. So all the wealth, he is known as Lakshmi Pati. He is the Lakshmi Van, one who has Lakshmi, one who possesses Lakshmi is Lakshmi Pati, the Supreme Lord. Not just one Lakshmi. Krishna is served by thousands of Lakshmi. Lakshmi Sahasra. It is given in Brahma Samhita. Brahmaji says, thousands of Lakshmi Devis are constantly serving Krishna. and they love to serve Krishna. It is never like a slave. It is always out of love. It is their privilege. It is their pride to serve Krishna. Okay, and then what all did we see? Strength we saw, beauty we saw knowledge. We also saw, what is that other one? Wealth, yes. And what else is remaining? Power, right? Power we saw, strength. What else is remaining? Renunciation. Before that, one more thing. Wealth, strength, fame. Yes. Who can be more famous than Krishna? Krishna is the ultimate fame. Everyone knows Krishna. If they don't know the word Krishna, they know him as God. Because you may call him as Jehovah, you may call him as Allah, but he is the same Krishna. He's the same Supreme Lord. You may call him in different name in your language. That's all. In Arabic, you may call Allah. In Hebrew or all these languages, you may call him as Jehovah. In some places, it is given different names. It is same thing like water is called as Pani in Hindi, Niru in Tamil, and Vellam in Malayalam. Like this, different Nilu in Telugu. All these are same object but different names in different languages. Similarly, the same God. So Krishna, God is known all over the creation. Everyone knows. And last one, renunciation. The example we gave. Even though he is the same Supreme Lord, still he is not proud. He is not arrogant. He is always compassionate. Always want to do service to his devotees. When Sudama Brahmana, who was Krishna's childhood friend, when he came to visit Krishna, what did Krishna do first? Anyone? What did Krishna do?
Washed his feet. Yeah.
Yes, Krishna first embraced him and immediately he took him inside his palace and he made him sit on his own throne. And then Krishna washed his feet and then he sprinkled the water on his head and on the heads of all his queens. That is Krishna. Krishna doesn't have to do that. Why does he do that? He is always compassionate, always want to serve his devotees. There is a constant competition in spiritual world. In spiritual Vaikuntha, there is a competition. Who serves more, Krishna or his devotees? Krishna wants to serve his devotees and devotees always want to serve Krishna. That constantly goes on. And the love also constantly. Krishna's love increases by seeing his devotees. Then his devotees' love increases more than Krishna. Then it goes again up. So there is a constant loving competition in terms of service and love. So coming back to the point, that Krishna, when we know that he is the Supreme, we will automatically engage in Bhakti. And the most effective way to engage in Bhakti in this Kali Yuga is chanting his holy name. Given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nameva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatir Anyata. In this Kali Yuga, if you really want to get free from all the problems and you want real success, then we must chant Harinam. And he says that 3 times, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama. And what is that Harinam he recommends? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anyone who chants this mantra knowing that Krishna is the Supreme and engages in service, chanting itself is service. Now, right now, we all are performing service. I am also performing and all of you are also performing service. Because what is the first service is hearing. So you are all performing the first service, hearing. And I am trying to do the second service, Kirtanam. That's all. By doing this, we can perfect our life. And we are real knowers if we know this fact. So with that, we will conclude. Anyone has any questions or anything you want to share? Anyone has any comments on this?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have a different question.
Please proceed.
Like suppose I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Like,
yes.
If I attentively chant like 2 rounds, rather than like 16 rounds, like non-attentively, like how one should go? Like I have been struggling like by keeping number high, but like I've been struggling, Prabhuji, like, in particular in my case, I'm not saying that the way is not right, but somehow in my case,
Yeah.
like it is just, I'm befooling myself.
No, I understand. But so your question is, which is better?
Yeah. Shall I try to just do it minimum or way and then increase, or like just?
Okay. It is like in the beginning, we would start with whatever we can. It can be even few mantras, then we come to one round, which is 108 times. That takes about 6 minutes, right? That is the beginning.
Yeah.
From one, we gradually move on to next level. So in school also, after graduating first grade, we go to second grade. We don't come back to kindergarten again, right? We keep moving forward, isn't it? So similarly, once we are from 2 rounds, moved on to 4 rounds, we should not come back, isn't it? That's not right. So we should graduate from 4 rounds and go on. Minimum, when we say 16 rounds, it takes about probably 1.5 hours. Why? Because that much time is needed for daily purification. And initially it may sound, oh my God, 1.5 hours, it's impossible. But actually speaking, once you start practicing, Krishna will give you enough time that you can chant nicely and then take care of everything. In fact, I personally felt after started chanting, you still have more time for rest of the things because all the unwanted things reduce. If you ask anyone who says no time, it is basically lack of time management. That's all, in a simple term. When somebody says, I don't have time for anything, that means there is lack of time management. If you sit and organize yourself, you will have plenty of time. And coming back to the point, like, whether 2 is good or 16 is good. Initially, when you are started with 2, that time 2 is best. And gradually moving forward. And if you have been there for some time, for years now, then 16 is the best. It is like you're going for an exam, right? For example, you're going for an electronics paper and there are 10 questions there. And can you say that I will study only one question and try to pass the exam? What if that question is not there? Right? So there is a difference, isn't it? But if you studied all the 10 questions, you don't care. Whatever, the exam has only 5 questions. Any 5 questions you are ready to answer, isn't it? So even if you feel that you're not chanting attentively all the 16 rounds, you have been chanting for some time. So at least some rounds you will do attentively.
Yeah.
That itself will be enough for you to perfect your life. But if you do only one, what if you're not chanting attentively that one round?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It is tricky, right? It's like going for exam, just studying only one test, one question or 2 questions.
Yeah.
There are high chances to fail, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you studied all, you can go bindas. Nothing to worry. Anyhow, you'll pass, right? How nice feeling, right? When you go with bindas exams. I don't have to worry. Any question you ask, I'll answer. Like that it is, right? So when you do more, the better. But we should not come down. We should always look above. Because one thing we need to understand, Prabhu, human life is meant for self-realization.
Yeah.
It is meant for self-realization. It is very rare. If we try to understand just simple fact, which we always say many times, how many human beings are there in this planet? How many people? Population?
I think 7-8 billion something.
7.6 billion on an average, right? That is what people say. 7.5 to 6 billion people. It appears that huge number, right? Billion people, 7.6 billion. But in our own body alone, do you know how many microorganisms, the small living entities in our body? 38 trillion. That is the minimum number they quote. They actually give a range somewhere between 38 trillion to 100 trillion, right? 1 billion is 9 zeros. 1 trillion is put 1 and 12 zeros. Okay. So in our body alone, we are just one of 7.6 billion. There are 39 trillion living entities.
Yeah.
In my body alone, I'm a minority, isn't it?
Yes.
Even if I see what is the percentage, I'll be like 0.000000001. That's all. Even in my body, what to talk about the entire planet? Human beings are a very least minority, actually speaking. Very less in number compared to the huge amount of living entities. Human beings are very, very rare. You put 0. Another 50 zeros, then put 1, still it is lower than that. That much rare humans are. Just because, when you are in IT field, in your office, you will see so many people who are working in IT. That doesn't mean only IT people are existing in the world.
Yeah, you're right.
Actually speaking, they are minority compared to everybody else. Rest of the fields are much more, like service industry is bigger than them, right? Service industry is obviously bigger than IT industry, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So that's how we feel when we see a lot of humans. That means so many humans. But in fact, in this planet, humans are a minority. Like not even visible minority, invisible minority, so less in number. And imagine we all are in that somehow. Through this process, we got this human body. And if we don't realize who we are, who is God, then we waste our life and we may not even get a chance to get human life if we don't perfect. So it is very important not to waste this opportunity. It's something like when somebody has an opportunity to go to Harvard, you enter Harvard, you got ticket, maybe Harvard Med School or something like that. After going there, you don't go to attend classes, you just bunk every class. You don't go to university, you don't go to any tests or any exams. What will happen? Right? That is a wasted opportunity it will become. Similarly, after getting human life, if we don't know Krishna, if we don't perform bhakti, like in the last line of purport, it says it become like useless waste of time. We don't want to do that. We don't want to regret it later. Oh, I should have done. Better when we have time, we will do it to our best capacity. This is the word, to our best capacity. That varies person to person. If we know what is our best capacity, then we stick to that and try to improve. Isn't it? Does that make sense, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Does anyone else any question, or we can end here? Okay. With that, we will conclude. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. All of you, please take care. We'll come back and with another beautiful verse next week. As usual, we will continue with our Srimad Bhagavatam reading on the weekdays. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much,
much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Dhanavad pranam.
So,